Blessings to all of you. My name is Joshua from Chosen Vessels, the Preacher's Channel. Today is 2/10/2019. In First Kings chapter 7 verse 21 from the KJV version, we read, quote, "And he who is Solomon set up the pillars in the porch of the temple, and he set up the right pillar and called the name thereof Jachin. And he set up the left pillar and called the name thereof Boaz." Unquote. So the question is, what does Jachin mean and what does Boaz mean? Those are two mysteries that we are today putting away. We are putting to rest for good, thanks to the booklet called The Ancient Hebrew Revived, the complete chart of the Ivri, also known as the ancient Hebrew letters and symbols. And without any delay, let's dive into the letters. First, we're gonna explain Jachin, and then secondly, we're going to explain Boaz, and lastly, we're gonna put both side by side so we may see the whole picture, the big picture. Additional details will be in the description box of this video, so be sure to check them out, and thank you in advance. Jachin explained in the Ivri, the ancient Hebrew. Okay, so Solomon erected a pillar, and the first one he named Jachin, which was the right pillar, Jachin. And if you look in the ancient Hebrew, the Ivri, if you plug Jachin in our chart, you have the root consonants, the ya, the k, and the n. The ya, you have details of that in number 3 of our booklet called The Ancient Hebrew Revived Complete Chart. And this is a short for Yahweh, or the Spirit of the Lord. Okay, Yahweh and Yahweh are variation of Yahweh. Yahweh is the original name of the Most High, Yahweh. Okay, so then you have the K, and details of this letter is in number 11 in the same booklet. It means to open, to release, to prosper. And then the N, which is the seed, and you have details of that in number 6 of the same booklet. This is where number N came from. This is where this is where letter N came from. This is where letter K came from, and this is where letter Y came from. So if you put all these 3 letters and symbols together, you have Yahweh released the son, who is Solomon. However, that's not how we say things. So the correct way would be the Lord prospered the son. Okay, Yahweh prospered the son, and the son here is Solomon. So Yahweh prospered Solomon. The Lord prospered Solomon. This is, as a matter of fact, the first evidence that King Solomon either spoke the Ivri or that he understood it. So King Solomon was taught the Ivri for him to be able to do this. All right. So the first pillar that Solomon erected in the temple, he called it Jachin, meaning what? The Lord prospered Solomon. And then Solomon erected another pillar, the left pillar, and called it Boaz. Boaz. And if you look if you plug the Boaz in our ancient Hebrew Revived Complete chart, you will find that the root consonants, which are the B, the A, and the Z, mean the following. Okay, the B is the house, and here it is the temple of the Lord, which is here the temple. And then the A, which is symbolically a king, and here it is again Solomon, King Solomon. He's the he here. And then the Z, which means a labor or to cut. You have details of all of that in numbers 20 and 2 and 4 in the ancient Hebrew Revived, the complete chart. And as you can see, this is where letter Z came from, this is where letter A came from, and this is where letter B came from. They all came from the ancient Hebrew, the Ivri. So if you put the Boaz together, you will have labor, king, house. So labor of king's house, or work of the king's house. So Boaz means work of the king's house, or work of the king's temple, the labor or the works of the king's temple, which is Solomon's temple. And we see the big picture by putting both pillars side by side. Jachin and Boaz explained in Ivri. So Jachin, the Ya, K, and the Num, and the Boaz, the Boaz. So you have prospered Solomon, the house of the king's and work. So the work of the king's house. So you've prospered Solomon, the work of the king's house. You've prospered the work of King Solomon's temple. Okay, which is exactly what we read in 1 Kings 5:51. As a matter of fact, after I have deciphered the meaning of Jachin and Boaz by plugging them in the ancient Hebrew Revived Complete chart, I asked myself, and I told myself that there has got to be a verse in the Bible to confirm this interpretation, and usually the answer is in the same context. So I look and I read further in the same chapter of 1 Kings 7, and in verse 51, lo and behold, it says the same thing. It reads, quote, so was ended all the work, okay, that's the Z, the work, the labor, that King Solomon, that's the king here, the A, made for the house, that's the house of the Lord, the temple. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, even the silver and the golds and the vessels did he put among the treasures of the house of the Lord. Alright, so we're speaking of Solomon successfully finishing the temple, the works of the temple. He ended all. That's where this comes in. Alright, Solomon prospered. So Yahweh prospered the works of King Solomon, which is the building of the temple. All of that in one single verse. Solomon and did all the works of the king's temple. So the Lord did prosper Solomon and um, and the work that he was entrusted with, which is to build a temple, as we read in the prophecy in First Chronicles chapter 28, verse 6. Yahweh said, and he said unto me, Solomon thy son, he shall build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. Okay. And the son here again is there, the son. So Solomon is a chosen son to finish the works of the building of the first temple of Jerusalem. Every promise, every prophecy that the Lord gave concerning your life, concerning my life, will certainly come to pass. We only have to be faithful to Him and do as He commands. And the big picture here is Solomon putting inscriptions on the pillars in the temple to commemorate the accomplishment, to commemorate the temple. There are monuments that he erected to celebrate this historical event, the building of the temple, the first temple of Jerusalem. And that is the message we have, or he left us in Jachin and Boaz. We have more videos like this one coming soon, so please stay tuned. And there are additional details in the description box of this video. One link to where you may download the chart used in this video presentation, and then another link to where you may purchase the booklet called the Ancient Hebrew Revived, a complete chart, so you may on your own go down deep into the ancient Hebrew, into the Ivri letters and symbols for new discoveries. Thank you for watching. My name again is Joshua from Chosen Vessels. Yahweh is salvation. Until next time.